Hi, my name is Debbie Green Grashin, and I'm coming to you from Anchorage, Alaska. My family has been here since the 1920s. The history goes that my grandfather came out as a young man in 1922 after reading Jack London's Call of the Wild. I'm proud to be saying hello to you from my beautiful state.
Alaska has a pretty varied history. We're still, population-wise, the second lowest, but of course we are absolutely the largest state. But Alaska is the most northern state, the most western state, and the most eastern state, because the Aleutian Island crosses the international date line. So Alaska is a very unique place. So I often have moose in my neighborhood. I've seen baby moose being born. Like on Yom Kippur, we once had 3 moose sitting down in our driveway. Even though I'm born in Anchorage, I'll still stop, take a picture of the moose. It's still always exciting to see. I would say that Alaska has probably between 3,000 and 6,000 Jews. Growing up, we always went onto the military base for services. This would be the only rabbi in Alaska. So for many years, that's how we grew up. We had Sunday school where different volunteers would help teach the kids. Many years I had the same Hebrew book over and over. We learned a lot of Bible stories. We did learn to read Hebrew. We'd have bar mitzvahs. Once a month they would have a bagel brunch. It was very important to my parents that we associate with people that were Jewish. Alaska is a very small population Jewish-wise. So my father and mother believed in sending us out to camp. And when my dad went down, he signed us up for the Orthodox Jewish camp that was going to happen that summer. And for 10 days, we were exposed for the first time to what more observant Judaism was about. I started to become more observant. I started to keep kosher. My parents started to keep kosher in their house after they had been married for 18 years. When you think about kosher food, we don't have a shochet, we don't have a bakery. We typically will either do an order and ship things in from Seattle or somewhere else. Luckily, we have fish aplenty. So when I was 16 or 17, I went to New York and we went to my dad's first cousin's daughter's wedding. I can remember at the wedding that they served gefilte-fish, and I'm like, what is this? And I realized that it was gefilte-fish. And I asked, why isn't it orange? And they said, because we make it from whitefish. And I said, oh, so my grandmother makes it from salmon. I thought everybody's grandmother did that. So growing up in Alaska, it was always very, very special to meet anybody else Jewish. Like if somebody came into our store and they were Jewish, my dad would call my mom and say, hey, I'm bringing these people home for dinner. In the 1960s, actually Golda Meir stopped through Alaska on a trip. And she came to my grandparents' house, and I'm sure my grandmother fed her. Any Israel connection was a big deal, but it wasn't until I went to college that I realized people actually moved to Israel or made aliyah. I never even knew that people did that. So there are many challenges to living Jewish in Alaska. Alaska presents its own unique lifestyle. Least of all is our time difference. If you are an observant Jew, we're actually fasting more than the 24, 25 hours. Like Tisha B'Av can sometimes last 3 days. And then further north you live, like in the summertime, the sun does actually not set. It's a little bit crazy and a little bit challenging here due to the daylight. So one of the biggest challenges we faced living here is Jewish education. So we made a very tough decision in 1990 to move to Seattle. We knew that we wanted our kids to be able to get a Jewish education that we didn't have. We moved back after about 15 years when my kids were grown, but now there's organizations that we can connect to. The world is a much smaller place than it was when I was growing up. We have actually 2 synagogues. We have a Reformed temple, Temple Beth Shalom, and then we have the Chabad Lubavitch Jewish Center. We have a thriving community which now has Talmud Torah, they have Sunday school, they have after-school programs, but at the time it was not available for us. So our family is very pro-Israel. We have been involved for many years with the American Israel Political Action Committee. Even our governor was pro-Israel. He made sure that nothing was invested that was pro-BDS. We always live our life as if we do good things, people will think nicely of us and will realize that Jews are good people. And so from the land of the midnight sun to the Holy Land, I want to wish you a Shana Tova, a happy and healthy new